Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the feelings I got this week was actually really quite strange. I feel like I'm on track, and I'll explain more about that as we go along. So uh, that's going to be also the base for our quotes today. We're going to talk about keeping on track as far as you can, all right? And I thought I'd start with this really nice one, and it says, do something today your future self will thank you for. All right. So, what is it that you could do today that your future self would thank you for? Does anything come to mind? I hope it does. And before we get on to the main part of the program, I just wanted to acknowledge number one. For those of you who remember Manon, she's one of our viewers from France. She has managed, after a long time, to get her own apartment. And I mean, buy it, not rent it. And what a wonderful thing to do at her age. You know, she's in her 20s and of stroke early 30s. I'm not sure exactly how old she is now. I think she's still in her 20s. But she has managed to buy her own apartment. And you can imagine how hard she worked to save up enough to be able to do that. But what she's basically done is, if she continues to look after the apartment and upsize it when she can afford to, um, she basically has ensured her retirement. Because that is one thing I am a great believer in, that, if you sit down one day and just work out how much you have paid in rent, it will horrify you. And, almost everybody I talk to says, oh, Sal, but I can't afford to buy a house or an apartment. And I keep saying, I don't think you can afford not to. And so have a cold, hard look at that and do whatever it takes, if you're able, to save up a little money. If you're somebody that gets, that's working and so forth, save up a little money and put down a deposit. Doesn't matter how small it is. The incremental benefit you will get from it will amaze you over the years. I can't believe that in my place here, I thought I paid through the nose to buy this place, and it's already just about doubled in value, and I've only had it 4 years. Now, that's unusual, but the housing market here in southern British Columbia is insane. But it's just about at the at the municipal level. The evaluation that I get from the town in which I live has almost doubled what I paid for it. It's scary. But the good news is that to me, it's like it's money in the bank, because if I ever need to leave here, I will have enough money left, hopefully, in the equity, what I've got value in here, to pay for my final years, which would be wonderful if it's so. All right, so congratulations, Manon, if you happen to hear this, and even if you don't, I'm certain everybody will want to give their thoughts and prayers that she has a really happy life in her new place. She's busy doing what we all do. She hasn't moved into it. She's busy renovating it before she moves in, patching things and repainting and doing all those things. Also, I want to acknowledge something that a viewer wrote to me about, and I just want to read it. And the viewer was Joanne, and she said, hello and greetings. I've been enjoying your broadcasts when work and family give me time. We know they never give you time, so you make time. I usually watch up to a week later. I really enjoyed your last No Way. How many of you remember last week's one, which is No Way, WHEY? And by the way, talking about that, what have I done with it? What did I do with it? Yeah. I have now made this much whey powder from that recipe I gave you. Oh, I put a bag of rice in there to make sure in case it's not all totally dry, plus a silica bag. But I've made about, you see that, about this much already. So very happy about that. And it tastes great. It actually tastes better than the other one. So saving a lot of money there, which is why we did it, right? Okay, so anyway, she said, I really enjoy your last no way away. I was also wondering if you can do a video with another interesting person like you, sort of a tea round table, or show us one of your crafts and talk about the process. I believe a lot of people don't know the first thing about starting a hobby. Thank you for your time. So I thought that was a thank you, Joanne. I really appreciated that because it was like, interesting. So if any of you have any crafts or cooking or and whatever it is that you would really like me to not only demonstrate but talk about how I started it and how long it's taken me to get to this stage or whatever, let me know, and I certainly will consider doing it for a broadcast. I don't know about you guys, but the sun has arrived in southern British Columbia. I actually saw it this week, and I just about freaked. I was just so excited, and it made me think about Jody, who went out this week and went and bought herself. She and Lionel went out and bought themselves little Easter things, Easter bunny mugs and things. It's the cutest things you've ever seen. And I'm thinking, if that doesn't bring sunshine to your life, I don't know what does. But it was just like I saw the sun, and it was just like, wow. And I even went to go and dig in the garden a bit. So, it's coming. Very happy about that. Again, let me have a look here. I haven't had another update from Ginny, so let's hope that she pops in so we can hear. Yeah, Ginny is in Maine, and she said the morning was clear, but we also had snow flurries. Well, hopefully ours are over. But if I remember correctly, the year that we had the Olympics, we had weather like this, like spring weather, that they had to bring in snow to do the Olympics. Who ever heard of that in southern British Columbia? But it's like, and then after the Olympics was finished, it got really cold. So I know that it's not over yet. You know what I mean? There's more to come. So whenever you find yourself doubting how far you can go, just remember how far you have come. And I want you to remember that, because I think all too often we look at what we want to accomplish in our lives, and we think, oh no, it's too much for me. Well, hello. I'm pretty certain if I'd asked Jeannie 5-10 years ago, would you be able to cope with not only a fire that destroyed your home all the way down to the foundations, and then within the same period of time, within what was it, year, 18 months, you lose your husband. Do you think you'll be able to cope with it? I'm pretty certain Jeannie would say, no way. It would be way too much. I'm thinking if anybody had told Jody what medical issues she was going to come up with in the next couple of years, and if we'd said to her, Jody, this is what's going to happen to you, do you think you'll be able to cope with it? I am pretty certain she would have said, no way. So remember, all right, and for those of you who don't know, both Jody and Jeannie are my admins, and so they work really hard to help me during the week and also during the broadcast. But so I know more about their lives perhaps than most of the viewers. I think one of the joys of planning a positive outcome is you get the joy of checking it off when you've done it. And for some of you, you might also know that sometimes life gets in the way. And so what I really encourage you to do is to really keep on track. And the most important thing to do is keep on track every month, every week, and every day, and sometimes every hour. And I'm talking a lot about this this year because it is really so important. Hang on a second. I just want to read what Jody's saying. Jody's saying, right now I'm dealing with an intense arthritis flare. I have a wicked cold, and my lymphoderma flare has put 35 pounds of fluid on me in less than a week. Wow. It took everything I had to get out of the house. Yes, but you did, Jody, but you did. I don't know who that is. Hang on a second. Okay. I just wanted to see if there is something urgent, and it isn't, as far as I know. So, Jody, I hope you gave yourself serious bonus points this week for doing that. All right. And not only that, that you enjoy every minute that you have, you know, with the really cute things that you got. I was so jealous on one level. And then on the other side, I went, boy, if I had wished anything for you yesterday, it would be to get out and go and do what you did. And not to worry about the not to worry about the you know, that you spent money that you could have spent on groceries or whatever, you know, just that every now and then we need to treat ourselves to something worthwhile, right? So well done. And it was just, it made me chuckle because my comment to Jody was, oh, you brought more stuff into the house. And the reason I said that was because, you know, it's like me, I'm busy trying to downsize and clear out stuff. And yet, as fast as I do that, you know, I'm buying other stuff that fills up the house. But we'll talk about that in a second. If you'd like to take notes as you go along, please grab a pen because I want to demonstrate how you might want to do this, and you might, you know, ideas might come to you. So just grab a pen if you haven't got one. And for those of you watching on the replay, welcome. And you do the same thing. So it's really quite simple, and yet we make it so complicated. Hang on a second. Serious lack of coffee this morning. All right, so I want to say that I divide my life into certain things, you know, my health, my family and friends, my money and admin things, my garden and downsizing are in a category together, you know. So it's all got little compartments to it, which is a really good idea. So let's take, what I want you to do is to take the main one, which at the moment is health. Okay, now for those of you who don't know, in the last few years, couple of years, I have been diagnosed with cancer. I've had a mastectomy. You know, life got a little complicated. Then they put me on a drug that affected my body so badly that I could hardly walk. And then I started to lose teeth. And in fact, as you will hear, I'm about to have 4 more teeth pulled because my jaw bones are no longer holding my teeth properly. Okay, never mind. So when I go to the beginning of the year, I ask myself, what one thing do I want to do this year? All right. Now, some of you can start with 5 years, but what one thing, if I had one little thing that says what I want to achieve, it would be what? And what I put on mine was be healthier. How many of you would say that that is something that you might also have on your list, right? So notice that it's not specific in any way. Basically, what I want to do this year is to be healthier than I was the year before. I had a pretty crummy year the year before. So then I look at that every month. All right. And so this is the big goal. And then so if you take it, so every month I ask a different question. I look at Be Healthier, and I then ask myself, what 3 steps could I take? Or, sometimes I put up to 6 steps could I take, small ones, to achieve that. All right. What small steps could I take? And, the funny thing is about that, how I used to totally overplan. So let me just catch up with my own notes here. Okay, so here are the things that I said for the month. No, I lie. I forgot a step. 2 is the season. I thought that's why I was faltering, because I had it wrong. Thank you. All right. So what for the season? And the season is winter. And so when I looked at that at the beginning of winter, I said, what 3 to 6 steps can I take over the 3 months of winter, right? Remember this, over 3 months. What steps could I take? And what I said was I would like to average 6,500 steps a day plus. I would like to get more fresh air. 3, I knew I was due to go to the dentist. And then I knew I was due to go to the optician. And then I am a pre-diabetic, which means every season I need to go for my A1C. That's where they take a blood draw to check how much sugar is in your system. All right, so that's seasonal. Do you understand that? Now, I used to put that in for a week, right? And that's why I used to get totally overwhelmed. I don't do that anymore, right? This is for the season, right? It is like almost laughable. However, let me now take this bit out. Okay. And let's discuss each one of them. Do you understand that at the beginning of each week, I look at this list and say, okay, what 1 step could I take, all right, to help achieve this goal? I'm not busy trying to impress anybody but myself. What 1 step could I take? What would make me feel good about this? Well, I know for a fact that to achieve an average of 6,500 steps a day, I've got to put in about half an hour of work every day. How am I doing? Quite honestly, in February, I am down. I am down into the sort of 5,700 a week average. All right, so I've got to put a bit more effort in, but I've got 2 more months to go, remember. And the weather's coming up nicely, so that's good. Get air, not air. Am I getting fresh air? Yes. I make a point of going out every day and either tidying up a little bit in the garden, using my leaf blower, or I've got a beautiful sort of 30-foot covered deck, so I can go out there and I can putter on there or do whatever. But I'm breathing fresh air, all right? The other thing is that for that half hour, I leave the door open. And the reason I do that is so that fresh air can get into the house. Now, that's contra to saving money, because obviously I'm letting the cooler air come into the house and I'm paying to warm it up again. But quite honestly, breathing fresh air is really, really important if you want to be healthy. So every day I leave that door open for half an hour. All right. Next thing, very simple thing. Go to the dentist. How simple was that? Yeah, right. How many of you have said, okay, it's time to go to the dentist? Well, the reason I'm putting that down is because this is the one that caused just a little bit of a problem. So what I had imagined, when I wrote that little girl was, I just need to phone up Warren and go, hello, could I get an appointment, please? Go see him. I knew I'd have a couple of fillings to do and so forth, but that's fine. Well, as some of you know, when I went, they did the x-rays and things I was way overdue for. And I blamed the pandemic and the fire and everything else, but it doesn't matter. I was still way overdue, and my teeth paid the price. Whether it was due to the medication or what, who knows, but I want to tell you, my mouth is in a bad state. So I found out I needed 2 fillings and 4 extractions, and I'm already missing a whole lot of teeth. So you understand that sort of really concerned me. And as some of you know who've been listening every week as I tell this story, I then found out that 2 of the extractions could be nasty and maybe require oral surgery. So there we go. I thought, boy, if I've got to have, and after talking to you guys, and you guys suggested that I have sedated extractions, I thought, well, if that is the point, that they're going to have to do oral surgery for maybe 2, why don't I have them put me under and then, do all 4 at one time? Done. Made a lot of sense to me. Now, it's more expensive, but less stress, I hope. So then I had to go to the denturist because once they pulled those teeth, I'm going to have to wait about 2 months for my gums to totally heal. And then they're going to put in partial plate, upper and lower. How I'm going to speak with that much metal in my mouth, I don't know, but you're going to find out. And I am so glad that I have you all here because in a way, if that makes sense to you, in a way that is my motivation, all right? I am pretty certain that I will work really hard to make that work for me so that I can continue the broadcast. So now, how far have I got along that? What I thought was this very easy thing. So I made the appointment and I went and found out the horror story. And then I spent about 2 weeks sorting out the horror story with the dentist. And then I went back on Tuesday and had the 2 fillings done. And I've got to tell you something, that one of those fillings, he completely rebuilt the tooth. Rather than give me a root canal, he literally rebuilt a tooth. And did the other filling. And I want to tell you, if you can imagine this, I was in the chair for over 2 hours. In fact, it was so bad that halfway through I had to stop everything so I could go to the washroom. It was just like, you're trying to go like this. I need the washroom. And that's when I've got that dam. Do any of you know what I mean by a dam, where they put a rubber gasket in your mouth so the water doesn't go down your throat? I want to say I really like having that done. So anyway, 2 hours in the dentist chair, and I now have a rebuilt tooth, and I also have the other filling done. Whew, a step forward on the big catastrophe on my teeth. So now the next step is that Monday I go back to the denturist, and the denturist is going to take another. Then you can see it. This tooth here is chipped. It's only the front of the tooth is there. The back of the tooth has fallen away. And what they're going to do is they're going to take another impression of just that tooth, because when I have all my teeth out, there's 4 teeth out. By the way, there are 4 teeth that I've got left that I chew on. Those are the ones they're taking. Me and baby food are going to get very familiar very soon. Anyway, so they're going to take that tooth out. But before I have that done, the denturist is going to make what they call a flip tooth. All right? Now, a flip tooth is one that's like a little baby denture that you'll just literally stick it in. I don't know how it works. And it may fall out in the middle of a broadcast, but we're going to try it, because I decided it was worth the money not to be a crone for 2 months. All right? I don't care about a lot of things, but I do care that I can continue to broadcast and that I can hopefully, through my example in some ways, help some of you deal with some of your stuff. How kind of you. Jody says, you've handled it tremendously well. Jody, you know as well as anybody that there have been days where I was not handling it tremendously well. My inner child was terrified. You remember I did that broadcast about that. And then when I listened to her, she helped me come up with the answer. So it's amazing how these things are sent to try us. And I'm certain you've got stories you could tell as well, where you thought, no way, terrified, I'll never be able to cope with that. And yet you did. And that's what I want us all to remember. So if you like, I am now back on track on the master plan that started with go to the dentist. So I started, it's as easy, just make the appointment, went to the appointment, knew I was probably going to have a couple of fillings. Then the terror of I've, got to have 4 teeth out, the ones I chew on, and I've got to have 2 other fillings. Total chaos for a week or 10 days while I sorted that out in my brain. And I really kept remembering what the monk said, smile, breathe, and go slowly. And I completely changed the order of my of what was going to happen with my teeth, because I decided, no, dentist, bless your heart, I'm not going to have you try and pull them. If they're this bad, then let's have somebody put me under, and then they can dig away in my jawbone if they need to, and I won't know. So can you see that I started on what I thought was something easy, escalated into chaos, and then bit by bit processed it down until I was back on track again? That's the point I'm trying to make here. That sometimes we go way off track, but you just need a bit of time to process that back down and then get back on track. Jeannie, I'm thinking about the fire because we both have that experience, all right? There's this absolute, I think the first thing that in a fire, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm alive. And I know I kept that one at the top of my brain for a long time. Thank goodness I'm alive, that this happened when I was awake and, I got out of the house. And I'm certain you did as well. Then you have all that chaos of, how am I going to do this? I've lost everything. But, bit by bit, you do, bit by bit. And then, my fire was as well in the middle of the pandemic. So I was in lockdown in a different place, obviously not in my home. I was in an apartment, a furnished apartment, and I had to make all the decisions about repainting my house and tiles and over the internet. I couldn't even see the colors. I couldn't even see the tiles or whatever. I had to just pray for guidance. It was amazing. But it turned out pretty damn well. I was quite surprised. So if we can all see that sometimes we get totally taken off track, and all you need is a bit of time to get back on track. All right? Jody, I was thinking about you and your chair. Jody has a reclining chair, and obviously it has a battery backup. But, she seems to be able to get the lemon, right? The battery didn't work properly. So that's chaos again, right? You're on track, and then there's total chaos. And then, there's this frustration while you get all the ducks back in a row so that you can be back on track. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, when I took the dog out of the back door, we got out easily, right? Later, the same area was engulfed in fire. Yes, I forgot that was another thing, that Misty Moore, her dog that's since passed as well, another major loss for her. That was get the dog out, right? And so anyway, the good news is that everybody survived that. Jody's saying about this battery on her chair, right? They're delivering the 3rd battery this week or so. All right. Now she says, or so, because she knows just because they say it's this week doesn't mean it's going to happen this week. Jody, that is emotional intelligence. Did you get it? And well done. Just because they say they're going to deliver it this week doesn't mean it's going to happen this week. And I am so proud. Ginny, happy birthday for tomorrow. Yes, I forgot to do the birthdays. I apologize. I did have that in my birthday list and I clean forgot. So happy birthday for tomorrow, honey. And so, Jody, if I do that again on Sunday, please remind me. All right. So then that was the third comment, right? And so the fourth one was go to the optician. Another thing, right? Very simple. You're just going to get your eyes checked. All right. Go get your eyes checked. How easy is that? Make the call, make the appointment, did that, went for the appointment. And as some of you already know, I found out I've got a cataract on this eye and I have got macular degeneration starting in this eye. Not what I had expected. So I went from, I'm just going to have my eyes checked, worst case scenario, I'm going to need new glasses, to really? Not only have I got all this dental stuff going on, but now I've got optical things going on. And this is over and above the oncologist type stuff. It's just like, really? What did I do? So, again, I went with a small goal and ended up with a bigger problem. And so again, I went sort of, from being on track to, oh my gosh, up here. And then as I got everything sorted out, I waited 2 weeks. It was quite funny. The optician said to me, do you have any questions? I said, I'm certain I've got a lot of them, but not right now. Why? Because I knew I needed to go home and process this. I needed to go home and find out more about macular degeneration. I needed to find people that I knew that had it, or knew people who had it, and what's the real story on this, And so it was amazing how I took that 2 weeks off, smile, breathe, and go slowly. And so then everybody said, okay, fine, this is what you might want to consider. Like, okay, fine, thank you. I felt much better informed, did a lot of research, and then I spoke to the optician again. And I said, I think I need to see a surgeon, ophthalmologist. And he said, actually, you don't need one yet. He said, are you taking the eye vitamins? And I said, yes, I am. He said, as long as you're taking those, it should stall it enough. And, quite honestly, you are not at a level where I should be referring you to an ophthalmologist. So I said, at what point will we know that it's time? He said, well, if you come back every year to have your eyes checked, I will be able to see the rate of progression. Does that make sense to everybody? And so if it's hardly moving because of the pills I'm taking, then that's fine. It might last the whole of my life and I actually don't get too affected by it. But if I go from this level to this level, within a year, then obviously that's a whole different story. So the next time I go to have my eyes checked, which then puts another thing immediately into my day timer, which is next January, make sure I book another eye test. Right, so you all understand that? So when I look at my goal for March, in those areas, right, it's like, have I done enough steps? Not yet. Okay, what am I going to do? Every day I ask myself, what am I going to do to try and get up to the average being 6,500, which means I need to do more than 6,500 to bring the average up, right? Because I know I'm below. So I've been doing that this week, so I'm quite proud of myself. Then every day as I look at the goal and I go, dentist, do I know what the next step is? Actually, yes, the next step is Monday. I go to the denturist. Don't have to worry about anything. Oh, two things I have to worry about. Go to the denturist for the impression on my tooth on Monday and get an appointment with the oral surgeon. Right. And I found out that's a two-stage thing. Number one, I will go for an assessment. And number two, I will go and they'll put me under and take my teeth out. And I need somebody to take me home because they take me there and take me home because I will not be allowed to drive. Pretty good. So optician. What are the next steps? I went in this week. Next step, I took one more step this week. That one step was I went and ordered my new glasses. And this is like nearly 3 weeks from having my eyes tested. Why? I needed everything to settle down. And what I decided was I gave them my driving glasses and said, I want to use the same frames because they're titanium. I really recommend titanium frames. Maybe more expensive, but I want to tell you something. They have lasted me so long and they're so light and you can sleep in them and they bend and they don't break. And anyway, so I said, so I paid the money. I always get I don't know about you guys, but I always get my glasses so they automatically turn into sunglasses when I go out. If there's a glare of any sort, right, they automatically change. And I love that. So that's paid the price for that. And they should be back in about 2 weeks. But the problem was I needed to find a spare set of glasses that worked for me in order to do that. And luckily, the fire had not engulfed them. I found them. Phew! And they're pretty old. Nothing wrong with them at all. I actually found they work quite well. So that was good. So one of the things that you need to do, and I say you need to, but you may want to do, is just keep revisiting these little things, all right? Don't get put off just because something went wrong. This is all right. I just need a bit of time to sort this out, and then I'm back on track. That's the issue. So the next one I had was go and get my A1C. Now, for those of you who don't know, hi, Sandy. For those of you who don't know, my A1C is very simple, right? I go once a quarter, once a season. So it's always, every season, it's on my list. And they take, they have to take from my hand because I got funny veins. So I can't take it here. So have a blood draw. And then when I went to have it done, they said, but wait a minute, your doctor has ordered a full panel. I mean, really full panel. I said, oh, okay. So what happened was they couldn't do all of the tests because I needed to fast for some of them, all right? So I said, do what you can. I'll come back for the rest, right? So I went back. Good news was my A1C was fine. Then I went back because I had to take a urine sample and fast. So I did. I fasted and took the urine sample. And then when I went to, talk about off track, when I went to deliver the urine sample in that brown paper bag that we all know about, it was really quite funny because they said, I said, I believe I need a blood draw. Do you have an appointment? What? Do you have an appointment? For some reason, my mind was on returning the urine sample, not on making an appointment to have the blood drawn. So guess what? More chaos. Got to go away, go make an appointment, come back a third time. For something that should have been a one visit, I am now on number 3. So now on Tuesday, you've got to get a sense of humor here. On Tuesday, I went back and and because I have to take it out of my hand, normally they give me a pretty experienced person. And the person came and I was busy warming up my hand and she had 2 goes at it and failed. Now, I felt so sorry for her because she said, I know I'm hurting you. And I said, yeah, just a bit. And I said, I've had worse. But of course, the rule is that if you fail twice, you have to hand it over to somebody else. You can't keep prodding the client. So they sent a much more experienced person. And they were so busy that day, so busy that I felt so bad to take so long. But anyway, and the more experienced person I'd had before. And so she just went straight in. Yeah. went in there and did a great job. But for some reason, they retook my A1C. I wasn't ready for that. That really made me laugh. Yeah, Jodie's saying when they start rooting in there, around there, it's awful. The veins roll. I know, Jodie, and I knew that you'd understand that as well. But the good news was the second person went, re-warmed my hand, did all the right things, went in. They took it. And the good news is, and that's the whole thing, after all this chaos, the good news is the A1C is fine. My GRH, I think it's GHR or GRH, one of those anyway, which was a bit of a problem one time. That's fine. My cholesterol's fine. I'm on cholesterol medication. My thyroid's fine. So basically, was it worth all that just to find out that all those things are, touch wood? They're fine. So that's good. I'm good for another quarter now. Believe that you are capable of doing what you want to do. All right? And then take small steps every day. Believe that you are capable. Yeah, Sandy's saying it's always worth it. Now, I must admit, that I had no idea that February was going to be such a difficult month for me. All right? In terms of medical stuff. But, I'm certain you can understand that I am so grateful to be alive because with the cancer thing. Oh, that was the other one I didn't add to this list because that was also under health. I had an appointment to talk to my oncologist yesterday. And she went through everything with me. And we again agreed together that, because I said to her, wait a minute, let me take a step back. This drug that I took was really harmful to me. And we decided together a few months ago that I'd stop taking it to see if it brought my quality of life back. And it surely has. I think any of you that have been watching me when I went through those 9 months of terror with that drug, even though I did still broadcast, I think you will all agree it wasn't the real me. All right. It was me doing the best I could, but it wasn't me. I wasn't laughing a lot, and I don't think I was happy at all. Why? Because I wasn't happy at all, and I was in pain, and I really was just, my whole body was deteriorating at a rate that I didn't like at all. So we had a long discussion yesterday, and I basically have been taken off her books. What we decided was that, and I checked with her again, is there any reason why I should go back to taking it? And she said, nope. Again, your risk is so low. I think I have about a 2% chance of it coming back. And if I took the drug, it would be a 1%. So it's not like a huge difference. And she said, really, it sounds like you've got your quality of life back. And I said, yep. And, I said, my sleep pattern is still a bit strange, but I'm getting lots of sleep, which is wonderful because I know that's, all helping to heal my body. So it was wonderful to have that discussion with her. And I said, does that mean I don't get to see you anymore? And she said, yep. And not at the moment. She said, and unless things change, you won't be, you won't need to come out here and see me again. So I said, okay. So now, does that mean I'm cancer-free? No. That means that they no longer have me as a cancer patient. But apparently with breast cancer, it takes 10 years for it not to recur in the next 10 years. It's the longest one, apparently. The recurrence time span is the longest, right? So if it hasn't reoccurred in 10 years, then I'm considered cancer-free. But 10 years from now will probably be, I'll be lucky if I'm still breathing. So from that perspective, I'll be well into my mid-80s, right? So to me, it's like, I'm just about on my way to coming up to 2 years. And I am really glad in a way that I took the drug, because that drug killed off a lot of the estrogen in my body, and that the sort of cancer I had feeds off estrogen. So I did 9 months of that drug, and so hopefully, if any little cell escaped, I killed it off. Hopefully, but we will find out. Um, so when you look at it, you will understand that what I thought was, 6 very simple things to do in the season of winter for my health has taken me nearly an hour to explain, and taken me many, many very difficult hours to get here. But can you see that I am now back on track? All right, on all of them. All right, I know exactly where I'm going with the optician. Nothing, I got to get my glasses, keep taking the meds, go back next year. So I don't have to worry about my eyes for another year. Yay. Teeth. Still got a couple of steps to go. All right, still got to have the flip tooth thing done. Why? Because when they take the rest out, they will then put that straight in. So my gums will heal to that shape. Does that make sense? And hold it in. Okay, so that's good. And then when 2 months after 2 months of baby food, I will then have my final fitting for the cast for my partials, upper and lower. 2 weeks after that, I will have them. So the flip tooth will come out, and then I will have a tooth here, and these teeth here, I will have teeth, top and bottom, that I can chew on. How many of you can imagine? I've done without those for so many years now, maybe 4 years, that it's just like, I don't know how to do that properly anymore. And what I already know is that tooth that my dentist rebuilt, he rebuilt it with that partial in mind. In other words, he didn't want to give me a root canal because he thought it would be less strong than rebuilding the tooth completely. And that's what he did. How kind of him. So, do you get the sense of I'm on a path, chaos, takes a while to get back onto the path? So, eyes are back on track. Cancer referral type stuff, the oncologist, I don't have to put another appointment in for her. It's done. Oh, it's done with conditions. The conditions are that twice a year that my doctor gives me a proper examination, not over the phone, twice a year, and that once a year I do a diagnostic mammogram. Okay, I can do that. So I made the notes for that to follow up in another season, but nothing more for this season. Nothing more for this season. So we got eyes, oncologist, eyes, teeth, all on track. A1C done. I'm nearly through. I'm nearly through that list. Which now takes me on to my second area. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because you get the idea. But the second area, I've had this one goal. When I ask, my second area of my life that I look at each year is my home. And what I do is the beginning of the year, I ask one question: what would make your home look better? Okay. Or what would make your home feel better? Do you understand that those are two different questions? And so that gives me the list of things I want to work on for the year. So for the season, I asked myself, based on, by the way, when I asked what would make my house look better, that without a doubt, it's been there for 4 years, repaint the cupboards in the laundry room. I've got a whole bank of cupboards in my laundry room that were not repainted after the fire. And they were still gungy white inside, but with, I think, robin egg blue, or is it? Yeah, doors. It's just like, no, it's not my color at all. So anyway, it's been transported year by year forward because I never got to doing it properly. But I still was taking steps. That's what I want you to know. I already had bought the paint. I already had bought the new hinges, and a lot of them. There are a lot of hinges. I'd already saved up and bought the new doorknobs. So everything was ready, even a stir stick, right? And the paintbrush. It was all ready in one cubie, just waiting for the geo to go. And I realized that because of the cancer and everything else, I wasn't capable of doing it the way I wanted it done. And it also wasn't safe because a lot of that work is up a ladder because the cupboards go to the ceiling. Make sense? So I realized part of the reason I was procrastinating about it was because of the safety aspect. So then I said, okay, fine. I got Ciora. Ciora is a lady who comes to help me once a week for a couple of hours to do the things I can no longer do on my own. And so I went, okay. And she loves painting and doing stuff like that. And she helps me in the garden and do all sorts of things. So I said, Ciora, here's a project. Do you want it? Yep. So, okay, fine. So she came in, and again, it was a simple thing: paint the insides, take the doors off. So first week she came, we took the doors off, and she cleaned and painted the inside. But before she could do that, does it make sense? The chaos was I had to take everything out of the laundry room, or everything out of that pantry, and everything out of that pantry covered the floor in my spare room. Literally, there's nothing in there. There's not a bed in there or anything. It just covered the floor with pantry items. So chaos, but not a problem. So she did one coat. When she finished one coat, I looked at it during the week and went, nope, it's got to have a second coat. I think she actually gave it 2 coats, but it needed another 2, or at least another 1. So I contacted her and said, don't bring the doors yet. We need another coat. So then the next week we did another coat. And now tomorrow, so exciting. Tomorrow, I think she's bringing the doors. How many of you can imagine how exciting that is for me? Why? Everything is back. Everything's back in there. Because, what I did, little bit every day. Every time I went to the washroom on my way back, I took a little bit more back into the laundry room. I'm just going to get you a picture because that's important. Hang on a second. There we go. So cupboards are painted, and look at that. Everything is back in. And now the next picture I will show you next week will be just a mass of white because all those doors are going to be high gloss white. And that whole room is going to look completely different. Instead of looking dingy, it's going to just brighten it right up. And better than that, by this time next week, touch wood, by this time next week, everything going in the right direction, I am going to have a goal that has been on my list for 4 years done. And I actually had a look to see roughly how much will this have cost me. And quite honestly, it's around $200 to have it done. And it's worth it because it's something that's been on my list for so long that, it's worth it to me to get it finished. I'm trying to get this back together again. Hold on a second, people. So what I wanted to ask you, 2 questions. Number 1, in terms of the question that Joanne had asked, which is, Is there anything that I do craft-wise that you've seen that you would like to see me actually physically do almost start to finish? Is there anything? Oh, um, wait. And if so, let me know, and I'll try and make that happen. The other thing is, on Sunday, I thought I would show you how I make my protein balls. I don't think I showed you that. Am I right? But they are so good. And also, I make little protein bars. Okay. So, what I realized, thanks to Jody and the rest of you who have had input, although I haven't lost weight, in fact, I put back the weight that I lost. Okay, I can do this. I still feel I'm healthier. You know what I mean? If I compare it to this time last year, I feel healthier. In fact, so much so, I'm now considering, I know I can get to the post boxes and back in my community. And that's about a 10-minute walk that I couldn't do a year ago. I was thinking that by the time, this time next week, I would like to do the full circuit of the community. I don't know if I can do it. I'm a little scared to do it, to be honest. But there's part of me that goes, it started to come up on my what is the next step thing, all right? And I look at my health, what is the next step? And the next step is, have I built enough strength? Now, there are a couple of things that I want to talk about here. I have not only changed my thinking about a lot of things, you know, I've changed my diet on a lot of things. I'm eating a lot less red meat. I'm eating a lot less meat, period, because I've started to look at vegan alternatives. And surprise, surprise, as you know, I actually like them. Who knew? So I don't think twice about having a meal with fake chicken nuggets, for example. I actually look forward to them because they're really tasty. I taught myself to make some fake sausages, thanks to Jody coming up with, apple and sage sausage idea. And I went, oh, that sounds so good. I think I could make that. And I did. And thank you, Jody. I've learned that fake cheese slices are very tolerable. They don't taste nasty at all. And so one week I am using up real cheese from my dumpster diving in my big freezer, and the next week I am having plant-based. I've learned that plant-based milk, if you get the right one, tastes great. So do I still have 2%? Yep. But I buy half as much because the other half now is plant-based. I've learned that plant-based barista oat in my coffee works really well for one of my coffees every day, and then I have the 2% made into latte for the other one. Do you get the idea? It's like I've halved my dairy in the space of what, a month? Quite amazing. And if you had asked me, could I do it? I would have said no. Because I didn't think. Jody, there is always a timer going off. There is a timer going off that we don't know where it is. I have spent 3 months trying to find that noise. If you think about it, you've told me about that timer before. Okay. Luckily, because I'm deaf, I don't hear it all the time. But I hear it enough that it drives me insane as well. Is it consistent for you? I can't hear it because I don't have my. It, yeah. Is it going the whole time of the broadcast or just every now and then? Just started now. All right. So at 1 o'clock. All right. Let me tell you what I think it might be. Uh, you remember my Fitbit? I have a feeling, my Fitbit, um, the screen died on it. But what I'm thinking is that I think there's an alarm on my Fitbit. All right. And now what I've done is I've taken the Fitbit off the charger, and gonna let the battery die. It stopped. Oh, thank goodness. Um, because I think that's what it is. But we'll know by next week because I reckon it'll take about a week for that battery to die. So keep telling me if you can hear it. The other thing is Yvonne is coming in March. And her number one goal at this time when she comes is to help me find this noise. Now, I did find one of the noises because, there was more than one. There were two different warnings I was getting. And one of them was louder than the other. And the one I found out was my Ring doorbell. And what happened was, it was quite by accident that I found that out. And I happened to be in the kitchen yesterday. And what happened was, I happened to look out of my door, which has glass panes in it, and I saw that my motion detector at the front door had been triggered. But at the same time, I heard that warning sound, right? That timing sound, that bell. I heard it, and I went, wait a minute. Went into the settings of the Ring, went in to see the notifications, and sure enough, there was the thing to send me an alarm if there's motion at the door. All right. Now that's a good idea, except a bird flying past or a moth getting too close to it, or you know what I mean? It's just like can set it off. And what I realized was the motion detector was in itself movement, and that in itself turned. Yeah. Anyway, the good news was I disconnected that, and I have not heard that particular alarm since. Yay. So let me ask you about your home, please. How many of you have got a goal that you would like to achieve this season or next? How about we do it for what's left of this season and next, right? Do any of you have a goal that you'd like to achieve that we can hold hands and get this done together? Because what I want you to see is I bring my goals down to almost the insanely easy steps. And look what happened in February. Those insanely easy steps. Make an appointment, go to the dentist, make an appointment, go and have your eyes checked. Life did not make those two steps easy. But luckily, those were the only sort of things I had to do in the whole season. So even though it was chaotic, I'm on track. So what I wanted to do is to tell you, for example, with my home, it was get the cupboards for the whole winter. The number one goal was, could I get the cupboards in the laundry room done? And the funny thing was, I'm going, but I don't want to get up on a ladder. And then I always ask myself the question, if you were paid $1 million to get those cupboards done by the end of the winter, how would you do it? And I'd buy somebody to do it for me. And I went, why don't you do that? It's been upsetting you for 4 years. I think it's time to do it. And then, do a little bit of risk management. How long could it take? How much will it cost? And I reckon it would probably cost me $200. And the question was, is it worth $200 to get it done? Yes. You bet. I am going to be so happy when it's done, because then obviously everything comes out of the spare room, which will now have a clean floor, which means I'm nearly finished in that as well. By the way, some of you know, cleaning up that spare room has been on my list for 4 years as well, because after the fire, that became the storeroom. All the boxes were in there. And once all the stuff came out again, I'm down to just a couple of boxes in that room. And they are boxes that are artwork related stuff, all right? So they basically got to be repacked and put in a forever home in a box somewhere. And that would leave just the boxes that are already sorted, by the way, in my bedroom. When we were doing the downsizing of the shed in part of, most of the shed in the summer, I had some boxes, one box has got kitchen stuff in it that I hadn't got the heart to throw away. Do you know what I'm talking about? Now, maybe 6 months later, I've got the heart to throw it away. So all I need to do once we get there is to open up those boxes one more time and say, now is the time to decide whether you've got room in your house for it or not. And remember, Sal, your next downsize is going to be half the size of your current living. That's what I'm always trying to think of. When I move the next time, I'm going to need to have half as much space. So basically, if you think about that logically, I need to lose at least 2 rooms worth of stuff. That's how I look at it. So I cannot have a confetti corner, which is where I do all my crafts, and a spare room. I need that to be 1 room. Does that make sense? Which means I've got to downsize everything in those 2 rooms down to 1. Doable? I believe so. And that was also on my goal for winter, which was, to downsize the studio and also to start the downsize in the craft room. I've done a quarter of the craft room already. The worst part of it, quite honestly. So, it's like, I just keep doing the next little bit. I don't spend hours at it, people. Right? Once a week, I go and sit in the craft room. And the only reason I'm sitting there is to work out what can I tackle. And I'm trying to work around the room, right, in order. So I've now finished the desk and the cupboards underneath the desk. That's all done, completely rearranged. Everything came out and got rearranged, and I've still got space. Surprise me. I'm now at just about to start the first bookcase. And what am I going to take? The first cubie in the first bookcase. Right? And all I'm going to do is look at it this week. Take it down, what's in there? And my goal is, can I put what's in there, can I halve it, and then take out the next cubie the next week and halve that, and then put the 2 together, in which case I will have achieved a 50% reduction in space. Am I making any sense? That's how I do things. How do I purge it? How do I minimize it? And if I really want to keep it, that's my right. But can I store it in a more sensible way? Now, you saw the picture of my laundry room. When I put everything back in my laundry room, I shifted how I had it stacked. I took all the packaged goods. I've got to show you that, because the packaged goods take up a lot of space. And I had quite a lot because of the storage for the pandemic. I just want to show you this because I want to show you how it made more sense. Okay. So I put all of the packaged goods together, all right, in a Jenga. For those of you who don't know, Jenga is a puzzle game where, all right, Now, not only did I find I had 6 boxes of waffle cones, but it was like I had three, four, 6 boxes of cake mix because I was storing up for the pandemic. I probably had more than that, but I've used some. All right, but I've only got 3 of mashed potato left. That's pretty good. Oh no, I've got some in this pantry in here. There's a pantry in here as well. I'm really doing well on the pasta. I'm down to not that much pasta, but can you see that before I had this in all different parts of the laundry? I put it all in one tall cupboard. And above it, I have, you can see all my little bottles of different Lysol and Windex and stuff like that is on a bar across the top. Okay. So I'm still working. I'm going to put cubies in there and then have it really nicely organized. But I realized that's a much better way. But what I ended up with, because of that, was a free shelf. In fact, 2. Look at that. 1 there and 1 there. Just by doing that. So I used to be in awe of, for those of you who remember Jenny Jen, I used to be in awe that every year she used to, during the broadcast, she used to go around her whole house. That's what she took that time. She listened to us as we were talking. She'd pop in now and then to make a comment. But she used that time to go around her whole house and spring clean every year. And I always thought that's such a clever thing to do. And I realized if I had constantly been emptying those shelves out and restocking them, I probably wouldn't have come up with the plan that I have now. It was the fact that everything had to leave and then everything had to come back in again that helped me sort out how to store it better. And by the way, I still have lots of room at the back of some of those shelves. All right. I've got some stuff where there's just stuff at the front, but there's nothing at the back. So I can start putting other things behind there. So excited. Now I've lost 1 box. There's 1 box that has the stuff for Clarence the cleaner, my robot cleaning machine. I've lost the box that has the bits in it for him. I'm certain I will find it eventually, but right now it's missing without trace. So allow yourself joy. In other words, I am still on track on doing everything I wanted to do. Downsize the house by 50%. But I'm not making it a nightmare. All right. I am doing a little bit, like 10 minutes a day. Some days I do something. I have a little, as you all know, I have a rotation. I go to the washroom fairly regularly at my age. On the way back, I try to do little things, just tidying up a little bit. I have a thing at the moment where one of my goals for this week is to shred some paper. No, I don't have to shred for an hour. Just did I shred some paper? Because you understand, if I shred paper every week, I will get rid of the 3 boxes of stuff that I need to shred. Now, I also had an idea, which is maybe I just get Siora to dig a big hole in my garden and I just dump it all in there and let the worms shred it for me. How many of you are going, not a bad idea, Sal? But you and I both know I need to go through every piece of paper to make sure there's not something there like my birth certificate or something that I haven't found yet, all those sort of things that went missing during the fire. So I know it's all there somewhere, so I've got to go through every bit of paper. I was busy shredding stuff last week from 2009. That's a long time ago, people. I've been hoarding that paper for that long. Scary stuff. So my question is, if you spent 10 minutes a day on whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you wouldn't have any instant results, would you? But would you, over time, have big results? Like the laundry room. So I have changed the way I eat, but now something that Lauren was doing. Lauren's busy trying to lose a lot of weight for Lent by drinking a lot of water, and 2 liters a day. That's a gallon, is it, Jody? Or 4 liters a gallon? No, 2 liters, I think. 2 liters a day is a gallon. So can you drink a gallon of water a day? I want to tell you that's difficult to do. Because I know it's difficult to do because I've been trying it. And what it basically means is every 15 minutes you need to take a glug of water. Or every half hour you take 2 glugs. Big glugs. I don't mean a sip. I mean glug, 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 swallow, glug, 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 swallow. Right? But it's doable. That's the interesting thing. So dream big, sure. Yeah, I dream that this will happen. But then make sure you bring this down to this season. What one part of that would I like to do? Knowing that the chances are, on one hand, that you will do more than that. But on the other hand, it may take 4 years, as the cupboards have done. Right? It just never got to the top of the list because it really wasn't anything other than cosmetic. All right. It wasn't more important than looking after my body because of cancer. It wasn't more important than, my family and friends. It wasn't more important than lots of things, but it still was on the list. Don't let the list go. So there we have it. All right. You will go off track. A simple telephone call to book a dentist appointment could turn into horrors and take months rather than times. That's okay. Jody's saying it's 3.75 liters to a gallon. Yeah. So that's what I thought. Oh, 3 liters nearly 4 liters to a gallon. So half a gallon a day. 2 liters is half a gallon a day. Thank you, Jody. Yeah, it's for those of you who do ounces, fluid ounces. It's about 60 fluid ounces a day that I'm working on at the moment. Now, for Lauren, she lost a lot of weight. She lost inches. Me, I'm putting on weight. Go figure. But I'm hoping that this is my body trying to adjust before it drops. That's what I'm working. I'm praying. So again, what can I do to help this? I'm going to try now to make it round the community. Get my shoes on and go walk outside in the fresh air. Now, it's a bit scary for me. So then if you think about it, what do I need to do before I do it? If I'm a bit scared, will I be able to make it all the way around? Well, obviously, I'm going to let my neighbor know that I'm about to try this and make sure that she's going to be home for the next half hour because there may be a call for her to come save me. Makes sense. So it sounds simple, but, what if I don't make it? What if my hips don't make it? What if my, hips don't want to make it all the way around? Well, then I need somebody to come get me. Quite simple. But did I try? Did I do something? Can I say I did everything I could to do this? And then when I come back, even if I failed, do you understand? The next goal is get even stronger on your hips so you can make it all the way around. That's the next goal. I think I might be strong enough to do it now. Quite exciting, really. I haven't been able to do that for 2 years. Wouldn't that be good? It's uphill part of the way. So, people, don't give up on yourselves. Okay? I don't care what's going on that's causing chaos. Don't give up. Smile, breathe, regroup, and go slowly. What I am discovering, just because everybody else wants you to get this done by next week doesn't mean you need to. Just because everybody else wants you to have an appointment on Thursday doesn't mean you have to. Just because, the world does things this way doesn't mean you need to do things that way. Smile, breathe, Go slowly. And take time to take Stella the dog out for a walk and enjoy the fresh air. Take time to get in your wheelchair, Jody, and have Lionel wheel you to the front door. And, even if it's peeing with rain, all right, and just enjoy the sounds and the smells of fresh air for 10 minutes a day. And take Taylor with you, the dog, right? This is about, it's so easy not to do it, and it's so important for our health to do it. And I look at all the things that you guys have taught me about looking after my body in terms of being pre-diabetic. All right? And I look at how my diet has changed over the last few years. Now, I still eat all the wrong stuff, people. But I've learned how to eat the wrong stuff and still come in on my A1C. I think that's called yay. It's amazing to me because, my doctor always says to me, you've done a really good job of keeping control of this. You must be really watching your diet. And I go, yeah. And I have dessert every day. He said, you're joking. I said, nope. I have dessert every day. And some of it is disgustingly good. It just depends what days. Some days it's, like a yogurt with frozen cherries and a bit of granola on top. But some days it's apple pie and cream. You got to have joy. And Jody, every time you pick up your mug, are you using those mugs, Jody? Your Easter Bunny mugs, are you using them or are they just decoration? Because I want you to feel the joy. And when do we do clocks forward, people? Is it next week? Soon, right? Anybody know? Jody she bought 2 for decor and 2 for use. Well done. Clever thinking. Do you have a box of Easter decor? All right, Jeannie's saying, I had a friend asked to go to lunch with me, giving me only 1 hour's notice. I was too busy and I said no. I'm still learning how to say no. But you did it, Jeannie. How did it feel? And can you remember the days when you would drop everything just because they wanted you to? And now I go, no, I'm sorry, that doesn't suit me. If you give me a bit more notice, probably, but quite honestly, no, I've got other things planned. And I really, it's like, I don't care if you don't like me because of it. It's like, that is rude. And March the 10th, time change. Okay, Jody, make sure we have that in the, what? Please. It felt good. Yes. Why? You set a boundary. I've got one of my neighbors who likes to be really spontaneous all the time. Well, hello. Quite honestly, there are days when I have to really get up and think about if I've got to do something. Not every day is a great day for me, as you can imagine, right? I've got stuff going on. Not every day is a great day. So to think that I can just spontaneously go, okay, fine, I'll come over in 10 minutes. Hello. I might not have had my second cup of coffee yet, even though it's, 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's just like my life is different from yours. We can do this. All right, people. So I am hoping that you all understand the point of this. So let me just ask the people who are in the room right now, just before we close it, do you have any one tiny, small step that you can take towards your goal by this time next week? And if so, I don't care which goal, I don't care which area of your life, whether it's your family and friends, something that you've been meaning to do that you keep putting off. And what I want to know is, will you give a commitment to give it time? Because I can assure you, you will continue not to get things done if you don't allocate time to them. All right? And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Remember, a lot of the stuff I do is on the way back from the washroom. I just keep it focused. Every time I come back, can I put one thing away in this room? Okay. Yeah, Jody's saying, I'm just focusing on my medical stuff and surviving each day right now until things calm down. Yes, and you know something, Jody? That's that's what I call the total chaos, and then processing until you start feeling. You will feel when you start to plateau on that, right? When you're back on track. However difficult that track is, but you know that okay, I've got it under. I know what I'm doing now. Yeah. So do that. So what then my question is, what processing are you still working on that you need support on to help you get to the plateau? Is there anything, that's my question. You don't have to do it publicly, Jody. But is there anything I can do as your friend to assist you in that? I hope so. So just positivity. Oh, you don't want me just to be me then? Oh dear. I got to change. And I'm saying that because, there's part of me that goes, hey, if I am 100% me, I'm not necessarily positive all the time. Ah, Jody's going, that's not what I meant. Because you know me. um, all right, so we'll check in after the broadcast and then we'll make a plan. All right. All right, everybody. So thank you for being here. I hope this has triggered you a little bit to just understand not all things go perfectly well in the right direction. Sometimes you end up with a very simple thing causing a lot of chaos, and then you need to process so that you can get back on track, which is what Jody's talking about. This is DearMamaSal saying, boy, can you believe that, we're nearly 11 years of this, and every week we have not run out of things to talk about. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure. Sandy saying love to all and thanks for the broadcast, Sal. And Jeannie also said that. It's just like people, we can do this. We can do this. We just need to remember it takes as long as it takes. And life gets in the way whether we want it to or not most weeks. All right. So just keep turning the page, get a clean page and start again. What one thing do I want to achieve in this area this week? One thing. If you achieve one thing a week, you understand that's 52 steps in the year. That's the point. And it might take you 5 years to achieve it, but you can do it if you want to. And that is a thing I keep saying to my sister. We always do what we want to do, and we always have time for the things that we want to do. We never have time for the things we don't want to do, and we always have an excuse. True? True. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember that, and your life changes. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody and Jeannie. I appreciate the help.